What's going on, guys? This is Nathan Garth. I'm host of The Social Club, where everyone has a voice. Going to be going over week 4 college football, action-packed, a lot of ranked versus ranked matchups. But before I get into that, if you guys like, subscribe, comment what your favorite game of the week was, things you were impressed with. A lot of movement in the Heisman odds this week as well. But yeah, go check out our other videos. We will also be putting up an NFL Week 3 recap as well. But I will start us off here. I'm going to go with Clemson versus Syracuse. Wow. Syracuse, 17.5-point underdogs. There's not much to say besides Clemson is dead. I thought that LSU game might have just been LSU showing what kind of team they are. And honestly, they haven't really done that for me since that game, which just shows how dead Clemson is. I thought it was a fluke. We've seen Clemson teams in the past have that weird game. Honestly, Syracuse has been one of those teams in the last decade. But, if it was a close game, Clemson could point to the 3-hour rain delay in the middle of it, or it was on the road. It was not on the road. I don't know where Clemson goes from here. It was an ass whooping from beginning to end. Fran Brown is becoming one of my favorite coaches in the entire country, with some of the quotes that he came out with about the transfer portal, which is so fitting with how Dabo approaches the transfer portal now, or the lack of approaching the transfer portal. But I don't think there's any way that Clemson would fire Dabo Swinney. If anything, I think he'll be the one to break it off. Even in some of his press conferences, he was talking about when asked what would happen if Clemson rumbling started happening, and he basically said, if you don't want me here, I'll leave. I don't think there's many universities that would say no to Dabo, but the more and more I watch this team, the more and more I think that maybe there are some schools that would say no to him, that might have jobs opening up this time next year. But if I'm Florida, I'm giving him a call before he starts practice on Tuesday. Give him a blank check, say, hey, you have to use the transfer portal, but we will pay you whatever you want. We will give you as many NIL collective money as you possibly want, but you have to use the transfer portal. But at some point, it's not a talent issue. Yes, Cade Klubnik does not look like the quarterback many people thought he was. But you might have 3 first-round picks. You're definitely going to have 2 on the D-line in the edge room. But, Cade should still be a first-round pick, maybe, if he even looks a little bit better to end the year, because he looks the part, and last year he had a great season. But this might be the end of Clemson's, not dynasty, but their dominance in the ACC and having multiple national championships in an era where there was a true dynasty with Bama, and beating them for one of those national championships as well. But yeah, I don't know where Clemson goes from here. But not to take away from Syracuse. They played well. Their quarterback, the Italian Stallion, he played really well. He did have some unforced errors, but credit to Syracuse O-line. He wasn't getting pressured as much as I thought. I thought he'd be in hell all day. But like I said, I love Fran Brown kind of bursting onto the scene with some of his personality off the field. And the difference, if you watch those two teams, which team would rather play for their head coach? It was night and day. Fran Brown was involved in everybody celebrating and getting his team hyped up and motivated, and Dabo looks like he doesn't want to be there, and the players look like they think it's Dabo's fault. So that's my thoughts on that game. I would say Clemson season's officially over, but they lost 3 games slightly early last year, and then went on a run to make it to the ACC championship game, which they ended up winning to get an auto into the college football playoffs. But I mean, they pretty much have to run the table, and that might not even be enough if Syracuse turns out to not even be a good team. But yeah, Clemson season's over. Syracuse, sneaky giant slayers, if you even want to call Clemson a giant anymore. But I'm pretty sure Syracuse plays Florida State in a couple weeks. So I guess that'll be the test if they're really good or if Clemson's really that bad. Next game I'm going to move to is Missouri and South Carolina. So this game was weird. So South Carolina gets blown out by Vandy last week. Lenore Sellers leaves the game, doesn't come back. This game opened at 13.5 on Mizzou's side of the spread to open up the week, which, as you guys know, I'm a Mizzou fan, I thought was a little sketchy. And then the week starts progressing. They go to like 12, they go to 11.5, and then they were at 10.5 for like 2 full days, I think, on Wednesday and Thursday, and maybe even a little bit of Friday. And then the SEC injury report comes out that Sellers is officially in, and out of nowhere, Missouri's All-American left guard, now playing left tackle, is suddenly out. So that kind of made me a little nervous. Not saying that a left tackle is the difference between a 10-point spread, but when you are going to be lining up against Dylan Stewart all game, you definitely want your All-American offensive lineman in the game. So it ended up closing at 9.5, I believe, or 9. But the biggest takeaway from this game, complete bias aside, is if you don't think Ahmad Hardy's the best college football player in the country right now, then you're not watching Ahmad Hardy play football. He is unbelievable. Feels like he has like 2 or 3 earthquake runs a game. But yeah, and that's not to discredit Jamal Roberts, the second string. He might be looked at the way Ahmad Hardy is if he was getting Ahmad Hardy carries. Like every time that he gets a carry, it's almost like there's little to no drop off. I mean, it's by far and away the best running back duo in the country. I know people say it's Notre Dame with Jeremiah Love and Price, but I don't even think it's close. Ahmad Hardy has more yards after contact than either of those running backs have total yards. And I think if you combine them, he's only like 50 yards less. So Ahmad Hardy, best player in the nation, definitely best running back in the nation. I thought Lenore's played solid. I mean, we were pressuring him all night. Our front seven feasted against South Carolina's O-line. But I thought he had a good game. Had some good deep shots. But yeah, I wouldn't say Beau Pribula played an A+ game by any means, but he was really good on third down, and he was really good with his legs. And he did have some deep balls, some 20 to 30-yard completions. So I thought he looked good. The interception was kind of weird, got tipped. Really good play by South Carolina safety, but I thought he played like a B to B+ game, which if we're beating South Carolina by 10 with a B+ game from our quarterback, or B to B+ game from our quarterback, I feel pretty confident. Mizzou pretty much has two bye weeks in a row with UMass and then the actual bye before they host Alabama. So I think that'll be the true test. I wasn't as high on South Carolina as most people were this year, so I'm not making it seem like it's some out of this world win, but they handled business, and they were clutch when they needed to be. Our secondary is starting to worry me a little bit. There seems to be a 50-yard completion. I think there's been a 50-yard completion every single game this year, and we played Central Arkansas and Kansas. I mean, like, what are we doing? But I think Mizzou's in a really good spot right now. Our front seven and our running game, really our offense in general, but specifically our running game is insane. And Mizzou held South Carolina to -8 rushing yards. Like, that is, I don't care if it's Kentucky, Mississippi State, Oregon State, Northwestern, like holding a Power 4 conference, holding any team in Division I to negative rushing yards is very impressive. So regardless of how sketchy our secondary has looked, quarterbacks still aren't getting much time to throw the ball. So if our secondary can just eliminate the big plays, I don't care if they let up 10 to 12-yard pass plays more than they should. But it's those big plays that we really need to eliminate because teams can't drive on this defense. You're scoring off a big play or two within the drive, but you're not having 12 to 15 play touchdown drives against this defense. So that's really my take on it. Like I said, I think South Carolina is still fine. I think they'll probably go 7-5, which does not pain me at all because I hate South Carolina, mostly just hate Shane Bieber, but I think they're fine. I mean, who knows? They could rattle off a couple big wins and see themselves at 8-4. But I mean, they'd have to go close to perfect to get to 9-3. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go to the Oklahoma-Auburn game, which that game was drunk. I mean, the amount of calls the ref missed from both of these teams in this game was absurd. Mostly Auburn, in my opinion. The scoop and score early in the game that got called back, that changes the game completely. There were some PIs that, I mean, barely touching somebody. I just was not – I was expecting to be impressed with Oklahoma in this game. And, I mean, again, kind of how I felt about Bo Perbula's game. Like, I don't think John Mateer played bad, but he definitely didn't have a game where I was like, oh, yeah, this is a national title contender. This is a Heisman hopeful. He had a rushing touchdown, which pretty much happens in every game that John Mateer plays, like it feels. But we just got word today that John Mateer is having hand surgery and is going to be out 4 weeks. So that is not great for Oklahoma's season. I know they're definitely thinking playoffs. I think they're probably like a fringe 12 to 17 type of team. Definitely not as high on them as the national media and ESPN and the AP poll and all that stuff is, but not having Mateer for the next 3 or 4 games is definitely not going to do them justice. I think they have Texas and LSU in that span, so they got to tread water. They only can lose 1 game without Mateer, in my opinion. But like I said, that game was weird. Obviously, it's the Jackson Arnold homecoming, former Oklahoma quarterback from last year. I just want to start this off. Oklahoma had 10 sacks. Now, if you just looked at the box score, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that O-line played terrible. Oklahoma's defense, which I do think is a very good defense, is the greatest defense ever, blah, blah, blah. I just watching the game, half of those sacks were on Jackson Arnold. I mean, he was parking in the pocket, did not have any sense of pressure, took sacks outside the hashes that he could have thrown away. I mean, it was ugly. He did have some good throws that were dropped by his receivers, which is supposed to be the strength of their offense with Singleton and Coleman. But yeah, that was ugly. With how good of a runner he can be, you'd think he'd be looking for that pressure to get into open space, but he was just sitting there like a duck. Like it was terrible. Yeah, Oklahoma defense looked good. Like I said, really for Oklahoma, you just got to go 3-1 or 2-1, depending on how many games he's out, and you should be fine. But again, assuming coming back from a hand injury isn't gonna help Mateer, and not throwing for 2 or 3 weeks definitely isn't gonna help his case. But I think Oklahoma's still pretty solid. Mizzou goes to Norman later this year. It'll probably be. It's lining up to probably be his first or second game back from the injury. So kind of wish we would have fell into those 4 weeks that he'll be out. But again, like I said, not throwing for a couple weeks definitely won't help him. Going to move on to what, in my opinion, was the most surprising outcome of the week in that Illinois-Indiana game. I'm not high on either of these teams. Well, I wasn't high on either of these teams going into this game. Um, I personally thought Illinois would cover and probably win. I just trust Bielema, and till then, Indiana was pretty dominant against inferior opponents, and then anytime they played somebody that was above average, lost. So that's kind of where my thinking went into, and I thought both teams were pretty similar from a talent perspective, and seeing a 7-point spread in conference, like I thought that was free, but Indiana put belt to Illinois. I mean, it wasn't even, it was close for a quarter. I think they were tied, and then that special teams touchdown kind of just broke the doors open. But I mean, that's probably the biggest win that Cignetti's had since he's been at Indiana. And I think Indiana got discredited a lot going into this year because of their previous season, just having the easiest schedule that I've seen in a Power 4 conference in a long time. But their two losses were Notre Dame and Ohio State, who both of those teams were in the national championship. So I don't think it's fair to assume, the only two games they played against above average teams were losses, they have to suck. Like, they played the two teams that were in the national championship. And pretty sure they kept it closer to both of them, definitely Notre Dame, than any other team did. So Cignetti's just proven a lot of people wrong. He's a hell of a coach. What also surprised me was Illinois is supposed to be built on obviously Altmaier, but the offensive line as well. That's any Bielema team. And Indiana's pass rush was getting to Altmaier all day. I mean, he had 3 clean pockets the entire day. It was impressive. And it just shows that Indiana, I mean, they brought back I think 16 of their 21 or 16 of their 22 starters from last year. And not to mention Frankie Mendoza, Heisman? Question mark? He's definitely in the top 5 now. He looked really good. I was excited to see him against an opponent that was actually talented, and he proved it to me. I think this Indiana team is going to go back to the playoffs, honestly. Their schedule is a little tougher. I think they have Penn State and Ohio State. But assuming they lose those 2 games and win the rest, I don't see why a 10-2 Indiana team wouldn't get in. And I think the way Penn State's looked so far this year, they could win that game. But we'll find out about Penn State next week with Oregon hosting College Game Day, which leads me into the last game, Utah versus Texas Tech. While they weren't game day, they were big noon kickoff. The crowd looked amazing. I've always heard things about Utah, about it being such a passionate fan base and that rivalry with BYU being so intense. And I guess I knew the stadium atmosphere was awesome, but they really, really proved it to me with the big noon kickoff, and the Big 12 network was there as well. But yeah, it was awesome. Did not translate to the results on the field. That was not what I thought. The score did look a lot different than the actual game was. I mean, Utah just didn't play in the fourth quarter, legitimately quit, obvious signs of quitting. It was weird to see that from a Whittingham team, but I mean, it was tied in the middle of the third quarter. Texas Tech receivers bailing out backup quarterback with some incredible catches. They were getting popped when they would catch the ball. So, yeah, Texas Tech, they have to be the best team in the Big 12 right now, right? They're the team to beat. That was kind of the competition on who would be. I know Baylor is considered that as well, but I think Texas Tech is most definitely the team to beat in the Big 12. Just proof that oil money can buy you a good team. I think they're 3rd or 4th in highest paid roster. which is crazy from Texas Tech. But seeing Texas Tech have a defense is weird. They're used to always having a gunslinger or good offense in general, but you put a good defense on that team, and it's night and day. I'm looking forward. I don't know why, and I'm not a Mahomes fan, so I don't know why this is, but I always find myself rooting for Texas Tech. They're just a fun team. But yeah, Dampier looked horrible. I was really high on him. I actually, in a previous video, I talked about him being a sneaky Heisman candidate and Utah being a sneaky national championship contender, because I thought they had an elite quarterback and they have an elite offensive line. I mean, both their tackles will go first round, and I think their center is projected like second or third round. So arguably the best O-line in the country, and with a quarterback coming from New Mexico that looked like he was ready for the big stage. I legitimately thought this Utah State team would cruise through the Big 12, but did not look like that on Saturday. Yeah, that's really all I have for that game. Like I said, it definitely was closer than the final score, but it was pretty evident that Texas Tech was the better team in that game. Just breezing through some other notable matchups. Tulane, Ole Miss, my God. Ole Miss winning by 40. I mean, essentially, there goes Tulane's college football playoff hopes and dreams. I mean, they could go undefeated the rest of the way, go 11-1, but that brings me to my next point: Memphis over Arkansas. Memphis is kind of in the driver's seat right now for that. I don't know what goes on in Sam Pittman's brain at the end of football games, but I mean, you're on the 20-yard line, down one, with a minute left. You could take 3 knees. I think it was 2 minutes left. You could take 3 knees and kick a game-winning field goal with 20 seconds left. And then from there, like, okay, yeah, maybe they can come back down and get a field goal opportunity, but at least you had the lead with 20 seconds left. But he decides to run, and their running back decides to dive for a first down on second down. It's not like you have to get this first down or the game's over. Dives for it on second down, has his body caught up on a defender under him, so ball slips out while he's still up. And yeah, Memphis wins the football game, which kind of sucks. I kind of want Arkansas to be good, just because when we inevitably beat them every year, it feels sweeter, but it just looks like a typical Arkansas team with a slightly better quarterback than they've had in the past. I mean, that's literally it. Their defense sucks. Their in-game management sucks. Sam Pittman sucks. I mean, I'm recording this on Tuesday, and he might be fired by tomorrow morning. Like, he's so far out of there. Arkansas has so much money. The buyout doesn't matter. Go get you a proven coach. Arkansas sneaky Dabo school. Dabo wants to come to the SEC. That'd be awesome. But I highly doubt that. But yeah, Miami, Florida. Florida's last chance to show us that they're notable in any sense of the world. I thought after the USF loss, they'd wake up and give LSU a fight. I mean, they kind of gave them a fight, but that was more of LSU just sucking than Florida being good. And then, all right, you look shitty 2 weeks in a row. Go to Miami, a team that is notable for being ranked higher than their true talent is. Like, go knock off Miami. Go show them that you're not the worst big school in Florida. Nope, get killed. Florida sucks. I don't know how Billy Napier has a job. I don't care what his buyout is, dude. Players do not respond to his coaching or leadership or something, because that roster is talented. They're going to have Chase McLaughlin, the center. He's going to get drafted first round. They have another O-lineman that's supposed to be a second rounder. They have talent all over the front seven. I don't know. Florida is just wasting the transfer portal and NIL era where they should absolutely thrive. Like, go into the portal hand good players $1 million. Come play in the Swamp. Come play for Florida. Come play for Dabo Swinney. Like, they got to do something. No one wants to play for Billy fucking Napier, bro. Anyway, by the way, I love when Florida sucks, so I'm not mad that they suck. Miami looks real. It looks like they finally have a complete team, and they're not just relying on a couple weapons and a good quarterback. Carson Beck looks good, which should be no surprise to anyone. I don't know why people are acting like he was a bum when he was in the transfer portal. Michigan, Nebraska. Nebraska loses to ranked team. Big shocker. Dylan Raiola is not the answer. Matt Rule is not the answer. No, I'm just kidding. I like Matt Rule, but I mean, Dylan Raiola played good. There's just something about Nebraska. They just can't put all three phases of the game together. And this is from the opposite of the Texas Tech-Utah game that looked a lot closer than it was. This game looked closer than it was because without an absolute prayer at the end of half, this is a 14-plus point game. So I'm not impressed with Nebraska until they give me a reason to be impressed. I mean, that Cincy win doesn't do anything for me. Michigan, I mean, get dominated by Oklahoma and then beat Nebraska. Like, that's what you should do probably. I think they need to let Bryce Underwood run a lot more. I think that's where he can absolutely shred defenses. I mean, he has a good arm, but I think if they let him kind of open up his legs and his offense, even though he is a freshman, I know they're trying to be careful. I think the Michigan could be a lot better than some people think they are. I kind of have them like right where the AP poll has them, like in between that like 15 to 22-ish range. But I think they could be better. I mean, if they beat Ohio State, which every year I say they definitely won't and will, then they could pull out a sneaky like 9-3, 10-2 season. Not sneaky necessarily, but I feel like everybody was pretty down on them after that Oklahoma game. But that's all I have for that game too. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me this week. Make sure to check out next week's video. Again, I'll be doing a recap of college football week 5, which is an absolute just movie of games. I think there's 4 ranked matchups. The Ryder Cup's going to be going on for all you golf lovers. It's going to be an awesome weekend. If someone asks you to do anything this weekend, tell them to respectfully, no. But other than that, check out Jacob's video of the NFL Week 3 recap that he will be putting out after this as well. But other than that, this is The Social Club.